Welcome to this video on how to create an ASP.NET web application with local user accounts. You can find a link to the code in my GitLab repository in the comments section of this video. In the screenshots that follow, I will show you how to create the web application, how to customize the database class that holds user identity information, and how to customize its user registration and login pages. I will be using the Microsoft.NET command line tools exclusively, along with Visual Studio Code, so that this workflow will apply to any platform, Windows, Mac, or Linux. You will need to have a recent version of the Microsoft.NET command line tools installed on your computer. I am using version 8.0.302 in this video. Let's get started. Enter the .NET New command to create a Model View Controller ASP.NET application. The auth option tells the code generator that I want support for individual accounts. These are accounts that are stored in a local database, as opposed to enterprise accounts. Let's take a look at the initial version of our application using the .NET Watch command. The boilerplate landing page has a menu at the top with links to privacy information and to registration and login pages. Out of the box, the application doesn't actually require users to log in, and it allows anyone to create a new login using the registration page. You can see that it has hooks for using external accounts, but I will not be demonstrating this feature. We will delete those references later in the video. Note that the HTML components of the app are using the Bootstrap CSS libraries for page styling. In most cases, you will want to have your own application-specific fields associated with each user. The generated code is designed to let us do this. To do so, our first task is to create our own application user class that is derived from the default identity user base class. We will also have to change a few references to the default class and run some commands to update the identity database. Let's do that now. I am adding a new C# file in the data folder of the application to define the application user class. It will be a subclass of the identity user class and simply adds a new string field called name. This new class defines the data that is stored in the identity database for each user. Besides defining the new user class, we have to update a few references to the default identity user class. These can be found in the application.db context file, in program.cs at the root, and in the login partial CS.html file that control how the register and login screens look. You can see me making those changes now. That completes the necessary changes. I'm also setting the project's nullable setting to disable warnings about referring to objects that might be null. Now that we have made our changes, we need to rebuild our project and update the identity database. Microsoft's MVC applications use their Entity Framework libraries to access and manage the identity database. I am using .NET EF commands to update our database schema and the database itself. Let's take a look at our updated application. Nothing looks different at this point, but let's try to create a new user. The registration page looks the same as before, but there is no way to enter our new user field, called name. Let's continue with the registration process anyway. Those last changes have caused an exception to be thrown because the user name field is null. When we defined our application user class, we did not indicate that it was nullable, so the database schema that has been generated requires that the name column have a value, and we have not added any code that sets a value for that column. To fix this exception, we need to change the registration code to initialize the name field. All of the classes that implement the application identity functionality are in a Microsoft library and not in our project. However, the dotnet command includes an option for generating that code inside our project. They call this process scaffolding. It takes quite a few steps to include the necessary NuGet packages and is easier if you are using Visual Studio, but I will run through the command line steps now. By the way, you can find all these commands in the README file in the root of the GitLab repository for this video. Also, the project file in the repository contains all necessary NuGet packages. You can just copy the package references into your own project file if you want to skip all these steps. Now we have installed all the tooling that we need. So let's run the dotnet command to actually generate the scaffolding code. I am requesting that code and user interface HTML be generated for registering, logging in, and logging out. The files we need to customize the account interface pages have now been generated. Let's jump back to the editor to start making the changes that are needed to support our new user field. I will also take this opportunity to remove the code and HTML for external account support, which will not be covered in this video. This is the CSHTML file that renders the registration page. First of all, we need to add the name field to the page. In the code behind file, we will add the name field to the input model class so that it will be available when we create the user account record. Finally, let's go to the onPostAsync method of the input model class. This method is invoked when the user clicks the register button. I will add a line of code here to initialize the name field in the account user object before it is written to the database. Our last changes are to remove the external account options from the registration and login pages. First, the registration CSHTML page. And finally, the login page. Our changes to the new user registration process are now complete. We have added a new field to the user database record, changed the registration page to add an input field for the username, updated the registration code to include the name field in the data that is stored in the database, and removed the option to use external accounts. Let's take a look at our application again now to see if we can successfully register a new user. It worked. We are now at a page requesting that the new user confirm his or her email. That doesn't make sense in the context of this application, and we do not have an email provider anyway. For now, I will just click through to the login page and confirm that we can log in with the account we just registered. We have successfully logged in as our newly registered user. Now let's simplify by removing the registration confirmation step. I will go to the registration code and make that change now. Here is the bit of code that sends an email to the new user and then waits for a confirmation. Let's delete all that code. Instead, we will just sign the new user in right away and redirect to whatever page we were at before logging in. The code I am deleting has the side effect of setting a flag in the user identity table that indicates that the user has confirmed his email. We have to set that flag before we store the user record, or else the user won't be able to log in. I'll do that right after we set the username field. I am going to hop over to the login CSHTML code and delete some options there that we don't need. I am removing the option to register as a new user and the option to resend the email confirmation. Okay, I am going to jump into our application and test our changes by registering another user. I am logging Fred out and registering his wife Wilma. It looks like Wilma is good to go. That wraps up our walkthrough of creating and modifying an ASP.NET MVC application with identity services. There are many other enhancements that you might want to add to an application such as this. Here are some of them. You can easily modify the password requirements that your application enforces. The ASP.NET MVC framework allows for easy modification of these. The framework is also designed to enforce role-based authorization. We have seen how to enforce authentication, which is the process of ensuring that only valid users are able to access your application. The framework also supports role-based authorization, where access to pages is controlled by roles that you define. This allows you, for example, to restrict access to some pages to administrators, others to content editors, and others to anyone with a valid login. In such a scenario, you would probably not want just anyone to register themselves to your application, but instead make new user registration and role management and administrator function using a set of custom user management pages. And finally, you could add reactivity and data-driven rendering to your web pages using one of the popular JavaScript frameworks such as Vue.js or React. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I welcome any comments that you may have. I've included a link in the comments below that will take you to the GitLab repository containing all the code for the project described here. And as always, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel if you like this video and are interested in seeing more content like this.